conversation.
We are live, and so grateful to introduce our dear sister Audrey and your journey with the Tree of Life movement and the intention stick, and to share with all of our friends and viewers. So Audrey, this is the world. This is Audrey.
Hi. Thank you. I am really happy to be here and share the story because, I am such a believer. I was brought to you, Marla, actually, I think I met you at a women's luncheon, an entrepreneur's women's luncheon. And then I was brought to you by the leader of that group with another gal friend of ours, and I received the stick. And Scott, you do such a good job of turning probably a 12-hour history of the stick into a good 40 minutes and talking about it and how you guys started and what this means. And as you were speaking to me on that day, and it was probably about 2 years ago, I remember it like just my eyes welling up and getting tears because you were talking about words and how important words are. And I know that I had read the book, The Secret, years ago. So I am a believer that what you put out into the universe, you give back. You got to really, put that in your heart, what you want. Yeah. But I started thinking about my home. And in my home, I have purchased over the years words, worthy, believe. What else do I have? Family, love. And those like plaques are spread throughout my home in different rooms, whether they're in my guest rooms or in my closet. I think my closet says fun and indulge. How do you like that?
That definitely suits you.
So obviously I surround myself with words. So when you were speaking, I thought this vessel of words needs to be on my neck because it is who I am. And from that time, I think it had gotten on my neck a few times and it had been in my pocket a few times. And I know that your message was the necklace because it's close to your heart and that's sort of your soul and where everything goes from. And we just really get busy in life. And so fast forward, so I wasn't really a good wearer of it, even though I believed in it and I looked at it and I held it and I wore it sometimes I didn't. So fast forward to just about a couple months ago. And I'm blaming my rings that had to be fixed as an excuse, but it was nagging me. I had to come see you. And this past year, I have taken sort of a side step from my everyday car business to a journey of being an encourager, not an influencer, but an encourager of women who are not only over 50, but women who are also plus size, because it seems in this society that sometimes is a whammy, both of them. And so then when you have both, it's sort of a double whammy. We're not a size 2, we never will be. And, I'm not in my 20s anymore, but that doesn't mean you have to give up in life and you can still have fun with fashion. And so I try to show an outfit a day and why put it together and, put a little effort in and it all helps. But I needed to get back to you, I think, to get this reminder of practicing what I preach. And if I'm really going to preach that, I need to believe it and I need to practice it. So even though I really am a big believer of the words and putting out into the universe what you believe, I think this vessel of holding the words and changing out the words of whatever's going on in your life is so important. And even though I think it's important to have by your heart because that's your soul, it's a reminder, and sometimes during the day, and I'm sure that with all the people that you've interviewed, oftentimes people just touch this as they speak, right? And it might even just be unconscious. You're thinking about something and you just sort of touch it and then you go about your day. I don't think that's coincidence. I think we're going to touch it. I have a friend who I think probably hopefully received his this week. He loves to hold things in his pocket, but I know that if he goes into his pocket and touches it, it's for a reason, and it must resonate with you. So what I do besides my business, like I said, is this Instagram. I sometimes do it on Facebook, but it's mostly Instagram. And it has inspired women that thought that they were lost, that thought that they were forgotten. And we're not talking about people who are sick. or mentally ill, or these are women who are blessed and have good lives. But I do believe that part of how you feel, and I don't want to make this like a vanity thing, but when we feel like we look good, we feel good. And every woman can say, if you're having a bad hair day, it just sort of ruins your day. And guys, I'm sorry, with your short hair, you probably can't relate, but these are part of that. This is part of also what makes us up. Now we can blame society, but it is what it is. We've had this feeling since we were a little girl. And it's taken me 57 years. And I'm still working on it. I'm not 100% there, because there are days that I look in the mirror too and say, oh, I'm fat. Why can't I buy the same thing that my sister, who's a size 8, why, not my real sister, I don't have any sisters, but my sisters are my girlfriends. Why can't I shop with her? Why can't I buy that? And I have to keep reminding myself that I am who I am, and I need to love who I am, because this is who God created. And I never was, and I never will be 5'5". I'm 5'11" and a half. So I'll never be 5'5", and I'll never be a size 2, because I wasn't even a size 2 at 9 years old. It's just what it is.
Right.
So I think as soon as we can learn to embrace that about ourselves and realize, and, still stay healthy. I'm not saying that, I'm eating 500 hamburgers a day. I'm healthy. I work out, but I've learned to accept that I'm a plus size girl, I'm a curvy woman, and this is what it is. And I'm finally starting to believe some of the compliments that people give me, that I love your style, you look so good, you're really pretty, your heart is as sweet as your face. I'm starting to finally believe that. So I'm going to be much better about wearing this, because I need to practice what I preach. And I think it is one more tool to help us get those good thoughts into our mind, to bring us and to bring that out into society. And I'm a helper, so that's part of my personality. So there's so many people in my life that I think would benefit something like this. So I'm a believer.
Wow. Audrey, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's so powerful, and so many women and even men that can relate to everything that you're speaking of. And what resonated too was, I think most of us who are givers and helpers have a really hard time receiving gifts, receiving compliments, accolades, whatever that may be. It's hard for us. And we know how good it feels to give. And I was just wondering how it's starting to feel now that you are able to receive compliments or gifts back, because we have to give others the opportunity
You're right.
have the same great feeling to give as we know it feels when we give. What also a powerful gift to give someone else, to allow them to give to you.
I never even thought of it that way, honestly, my whole life. If somebody said, oh my gosh, I love your outfit, I right away would say, oh, I got it on sale, blah, blah, blah. It was only this much money. Or, oh, I love your handbag. Oh, you could get it, or, oh, really, I'm really not having a good hair day, but thanks anyways. And it was my beautiful 28-year-old daughter that spent 5 weeks with us. She lives in Chicago. She's a teacher. She's a first grade teacher. She came out here for her spring break, and she never left because COVID happened, and Arizona was a little bit nicer to be in than Chicago. And it wasn't until she looked at me in the eyes and she said, and it makes me cry because I feel like, did I put that on her too? She goes, Mom, when somebody compliments you, just say thank you. Give yourself the grace to just accept it and say thank you. Because Marla, you're absolutely right. It gives somebody so much pleasure to give me a compliment, and it makes them feel good if I accept it. Why am I constantly making excuses for taking this compliment? But it's very, very hard. But I've gotten so much better since she told me. And what you just said, people don't think about. As much as I love to be a giver and a helper and give compliments and lift people, I lift people. I really do. It's part of who I am. It's part of my nature. Why am I not letting people lift me too? I'm not perfect. I need lifting too.
Yes.
you know?
Oh,
Right. And I think it's, again, going back to what you spoke about at the beginning, which is that we are conditioned to believe certain things about ourselves, right? That we're taught that we're not pretty enough or smart enough or good enough, whatever that is. And we start believing those things. And how can we be good enough or pretty enough? And so we have a hard time starting to love ourselves, looking within inside of ourselves and to nurture our soul. And so what happens is then we squash our self-esteem, we squash our self-worth, we in a sense sabotage it because we start believing those thoughts and we get on the momentum of those thoughts and we believe it.
Right.
So it must be true.
right.
Right. And the words are so powerful. And I once read, and it wasn't that long ago, would you talk to your best friend the way that you self-talk to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And really think about that. We self-talk not good. And of course, I would never say that to my best friend. I would never say that to my daughter. The stuff that we tend to look in the mirror and say to ourselves. And gosh, that was very thought-provoking for me when I heard that. So I'm still learning.
We're all learning, and that's why we're all here for one another. And when we spoke last week, so you had come into the office, we said no coincidences. It wasn't for what we thought it was. It was truly being guided, divine timing. You and I and Marla know so very well. And the conversation that just touched my heart was the message that you are sharing, not just for the women, the adults to hear this, but these beautiful children, to let them also feel exactly the same, meaning to love themselves regardless. As Marla and you just said, I'm not prettier enough, I'm not handsome enough, whatever that may be for that individual. And it goes back to unconditional love for ourselves, to self-love for ourselves, to always say, I am beautiful, I am handsome, I am pretty, I am smart enough, I am perfect just how I am. And if someone doesn't like that, that's not your or our problem, that's that other person's problem for not accepting you or Marla and I or our kids for who we are.
Right.
And we can look at everyone the same, which we are. But yet the judgment, what we know this because it's how we've all been programmed in this entire world. Who are we to look at someone else and say, you're not good enough, you're not smart? We're not judged. So how dare we make that judgment upon someone else? So if we can look not at the shell, which doesn't matter anyways, but the heart and soul of that individual, and to see how beautiful that person is, how and that's in everyone. So for anyone who's listening, a young woman, a young man, an older woman, an older man, you are perfect just who you are. And you need to be who you are versus the programming that everyone else in this world has told us all to be enough. Be exactly who you were meant to be and shine bright like you. We see you, and you are beautiful inside and out.
Yes.
And that's why we're here. Your voice, your message to let another person know exactly what you're sharing is so powerful. And to stop looking for validation from the external, and the only person that has to validate how amazing you or we are is yourself. And just live that way, like you said, with your beautiful words. And I'm just curious, what intentions do you have in currently? Do you know? Do you remember?
I do. I have believe and I think inspire.
Mm.
And I had health. I took that out this morning. I first didn't think I needed it. I don't need it this week at least. But you know, you're right. I mean, the words are so important, and I think what I'm hoping at my age, and I don't think it's even in my kids' age, but what I'm hoping is the generation younger than them. I feel in my heart it's going to be a lot better. just as I was a plus size model years and years ago in my 20s and 30s, and it was just starting then. There was no such thing as plus size models. There was just a few of us. I was in LA, and then there was some in New York, and dribbled out through the United States. So it was just starting. And we were very thin plus size models, I want you to know. But the body positivity movement that's happening now that is so strong, I'm so hopeful that the babies that are being born today will grow up in a society where everybody is valued and everybody is equally as beautiful as they are, as just being a human being. And there won't be any trends of, if you don't fit into this certain category, you're not worthy. And I work with a lot of plus size retailers, and some of the really big ones are starting to get top designers that are finally saying that we also, me and my tribe, are welcome at the table. And my gosh, I mean, we should all be welcome at the table. We shouldn't have to scream to be welcome at the table. So I guess the message that I try to put out too is you are welcome, no matter how you are, how you look, what you're wearing. It doesn't matter. We're all welcome, and there should never be a judgment. Never. You know.
Completely. We agree with you wholeheartedly. And there is power in words and intentions. And, you know, this brings us back to the I am present. So when we are struggling or going through something, when you touch this, right? It connects you back to yourself and reminds you truly of what you need right now, whether it is courage or knowledge or happiness, right? Whatever, or joy, laughter, whatever you need in your life, this tool reminds us of what it is we need right now.
Right. And I was listening to one of the other guests that you had on. I was scrolling through some of them, and it was a doctor actually, who moved to Sedona, I think from the East Coast. And what she was saying, and I think that you've maybe touched on this in some of your other interviews, and I know, Scott, we talked about this when we were sitting in your office, is we have to be good listeners. I don't know if it's our soul or our being or what, but our soul, let's just call it our soul, is talking to us and telling us these things, but we are not listening. And until we stop, and maybe that's one of, and I believe the COVID has given us so many silver linings. I'm always a half full instead of a half empty gal anyway, but I believe that one of the silver linings was it gave us time to just sort of stop and slow down and listen. And if we listen to our spirit is not talking to us that way. That is a whole different conscience. And if we're supposed to move and do something in this thing with the kids that I'm working on that got totally put on hold now, it's probably going to be maybe 6 months or 9 months before I can get going with again, but it's touching young girls and believing that they can do anything that they want in this world if they put their mind to it and set their intentions and go. I believe these messages, these words, they're in there. We just need to listen. So maybe this vessel, I mean, it is so important in a lot of ways, obviously, but it's a physical something that we touch or we look at and we take the time to put in. But really, those words and those messages, they're in here already. We are just not listening.
You're correct. I want to add, that is so beautiful. And wow, I want to add to two things. One, no coincidences you chose to put in inspire. Because not only are you being inspired, you're going to inspire so many others, which you already are, even if it's just one. And this is how we have to look at the world. We're not saying, oh, we need this miracle, we have to part the Red Sea.
Right.
Just reach one more young girl or one more young boy to let them know and understand, which I love that you are doing and focusing on. And I'm just backing up.
In spirit,
by the way, I'm backing up a big step. And you said that these new babies being born right now, the one thing that I want to share, yes, we agree with you, but nothing is ever too late in life to change.
I agree.
Because we can literally shift our consciousness like that and wake up and understand, have I been living my life all wrong? And to question that, but not from the external, but to listen, as you just said, to your heart and soul. And to, as we've seen a couple that just received the intention stick like 6 months ago at 90 and 91 years of age, both said to Marla and I, we still have so much more we need to do. And that's at end of life. So even them realizing, if I can just reach one more person or my family or community, whatever that may be, nothing is ever too late to change.
I agree.
And this is that message. Don't wait. I'm too old. I can't change. Teach an old dog
Yeah.
You can. I am one to speak for myself, as I've learned to change, because I used to be so programmed and I'm always right. And as you just said, no one listens, and listening is the biggest part, not just the spirit to your heart, to your soul, but to what others share with you. When we stop and slow down and listen, we're in the now. We're being present. We're understanding the soul to soul connection happening at that moment. And that in itself is a miracle. And say, thank you for that gift that you shared with me, or I shared with you. Again, acceptance. And watch the whole dynamic shift and change and unfold. It's so powerful. Sorry, you know me, I get...
I know. It is powerful. It's something so simple can be so powerful. And like your friend said that you were just quoting, you have to put the work in, right? You can't just put the sticks in and wear the necklace and go, okay, universe, what are you going to give me today? It doesn't work that way.
Oh.
But you have to put it forth and want it and believe it before it comes back to you. And my husband's nephew, and I probably shouldn't have said that, but put something on Instagram. He was sitting like with a question look in his face, and he put it on his Instagram, and he says, like, what do you got for me to get ahead? What's your advice to get ahead? So I think he was asking the universe, he was asking his friends, and he was getting all kinds of different advice. And I was thinking, well, before you get ahead, you got to get ahead, you kind of got to get there. So let's try to get there first before you think about getting ahead once you're there. But to get there, you have to believe, you have to have passion, you have to go for it, but you also have to realize that sometimes we fall down and we have to get back up. And I'm sure you all know Brené Brown and have listened to her, one of the most inspirational speakers, I think. And, she oftentimes talks about having the courage to get back up. So wearing these words is not going to, it's not going to get you a promotion or you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to have a job offer. You have to believe what you're putting in there, and you have to put in the work to make it happen. But it's a reminder of your belief coming from your soul that what you give, you will receive. But
Yes.
we have to be givers too.
Yes. And you know what? You're exactly right. We can ask so many people for opinions, and we'll seek all the opinions we want till we receive the right one.
Exactly.
But instead of looking right inside of us, like you said, listen to yourself, right? And you know what? You're going to be missing out in life if you also don't embrace what you might perceive as mistakes or falling down as bad. But nothing's bad.
Nothing's bad.
The journey, so embrace all of it.
It is part of the journey, and I don't think we'll meet any really successful people that haven't been on a journey. It doesn't just fall into your lap. I was speaking to a young entrepreneur just a couple weeks ago of a small local business that I try to support as much as I can, because the big box retailers, for the most part, are going to be fine. So I try to support these local folks. And she's a young girl, and she says, "How did you do it? How did you and your husband do it and become so successful?" And I looked at her and I said, "We got married in our early 20s. We had peanut butter and jelly, macaroni and cheese, hot dogs, and sometimes we had breakfast for dinner. And we clipped coupons. I mean, this is what we did. And we climbed and we climbed and we climbed and we fell. And we climbed and we climbed and we climbed and we fell. But each climb was a little bit harder. And from those falls, you learn and you don't give up and you keep getting up and you keep going. And there's nobody, I think, that can tell you that they haven't had some tragedy or falls in their journey. But those falls are not failures. You're absolutely right, Marla. I'm a true believer in their learning experiences for us, and they just help to push and propel us.
That's right. It's part of our growth, our expansion of our own soul while we're here. We're here to learn the lessons. And how can we truly experience life if we don't go through those challenges?
Right.
Just like we said earlier, it's what we do with it.
And we talked about that. If anyone listening to this beautiful conversation, if we can, and Marla and I and you have talked about this before, and if we can look at all the things in our lives happening for us, not to us, as everything, every lesson, and as you and I and Marla know, these lessons can be very challenging, sometimes tragic, horrific, God forbid, sickness. But when we can look at the things happening for us in our lives and bringing us to the next place in our lives, it makes us who we are today. And we have to be so grateful versus the blame, or you let go and say thank you and forgive and send it with love. And most of this world still today hold on to everything, even since childhood. They bullied me, they screwed me out of a business deal, but whatever that may be, it no longer serves us. I was bullied, we were all bullied, but again, it made us maybe a little tougher. It maybe made us a little more aware to treat someone with more kindness. Whatever, again, that gift was given, we use it and move forward with it, because if we didn't go through those stages, we never would have grown. And that's that message for these beautiful young women and men to, yes, I'm sorry if you're being bullied or whatever has happened, but use that as a positive and make sure it doesn't happen to someone else you know. And let them know they are loved and you are beautiful and handsome and smart enough and all the beautiful intentions that we want to share with these beautiful souls. They need to know they're surrounded by love. And they do matter.
I agree.
And you are such that light. And I and Marla are so excited about all the new young women we're going to help, and again, to help them get through their obstacles or challenges and nurture that soul.
Well, that, what you're doing is so beautiful and outstanding, because I grew up in a really loving home with two parents that, stayed together, and they're still together, and they're in their low 80s living in Chicago. And I was blessed with that, but not everybody else is. So if I look at myself and the struggles that I've been through, whether it's self-esteem or struggles that we've had in our business, I can't even imagine what people are going through, or young children that, don't have that support at home or are in a really horrific situation. So, if we could be 1,000 places, we would, and just hug them and tell them how loved they are and how special they are and how worthy they are, and just get them to believe it. That's just get them to believe it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we are going to do that. You know that, right?
I know. I can't wait.
What are you going to say? I'm sorry. I get so excited.
I love it. If there is someone who's watching right now and who may not yet be a part of the Tree of Life movement or has an intention stick yet, what would you say to them? Do you have a suggestion or a thought as to why they should have an intention stick?
Because I think the intention stick is the physical symbol of a reminder of the words that are important, of what you're bringing into your life and the work that you're doing. And it's not these little pieces of paper that we put in here, but I think the physical being of wearing it reminds you, the touch it, you can feel it around your neck. There's some weight to it. And so when you go off on maybe these tangents of not always believing in yourself or whatever your journey is, and there's so many journeys, right? But if you ever go off on left field, I think it helps to center you and bring you back and go, oh yeah, you know what, there's a reason I have this. There's a reason I put those papers in here. There's a reason I wear this. I wear this and I read it and I remember it to remind me of where I'm going and where I'm supposed to go, and to listen to what it's saying. Listen and believe it.
Wow.
I know, that was so beautiful. And we shared the other day, which I know, and this is for everyone to understand, we have to take care of ourselves first. Or what the nephew, again, asking for opinions, or ourselves asking for advice. We have to take care of ourselves first in order to continue to help others. So we say, we cannot possibly give what we do not have. So if we're depleted of courage or love for ourselves or happiness or compassion, whatever that may be, even though we want to give, we can't. So,
well, it's not authentic, right?
Correct.
It's not authentic if you're not practicing what you preach. So, and we're not perfect, but I think if we do it the majority of the time, and you could be authentic, I think it's more meaningful. It's more truth.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. I'm so, my heart's overflowing. I mean, just when we get together, you know, our energy hits the skies, the heavens above. And it just, I don't ever want this to end, which it's not, because we now know our journey is just beginning and it is going to be miraculous. And that's why we're here. And
well, thank you. Thank you from all of us for giving us the words that we already have, but giving us the tool, because you're beautiful, beautiful jewelry designers. So you gave us the tool to carry our words. So really thank you for even starting it.
Oh, you are so welcome, right? And I love going back to acceptance, right? Compliment, thank you. No, I'm just and that's also a beautiful lesson for everyone else to listen, is what you said, Audrey. I just want to touch on that one more time because I feel it's so important. Because as you and Marla and I know, when we give, it fills us up just to see that beautiful reaction from the other person. Mm-hmm. And if we don't accept, same thing, when someone's trying to give us a gift or a compliment and we dismiss it, then it takes away that beautiful gift that they should be receiving. And I had to learn that myself. Marla actually shared that with me years ago, when friends or clients would be like, oh, here's tickets, or here's this and that. And I'm like, no, I'm good, I'm fine, thank you so much. And to take away that feeling, that gift that they wanted to present to me, I can't even imagine. And I'm so sorry. Whomever is watching, if I ever said I'm fine or I'm good, and I didn't accept that gesture, truly, I'm sorry, because I didn't realize, I didn't know how to receive the gift you were offering, or whatever that may be. So that this lesson, this beautiful interviewer discussion, is for someone to say, yes, we know you're givers, but also allow someone to give to you and receive it with such grace and love. It's going to fill that person up.
And sit with it.
Yes.
And sit.
Yeah.
Let it resonate. Right? Yeah. Hold space.
Yeah.
I know, it's already making me I'm the overhugger crybaby.
I know, it's true. It's true. I mean, it's give yourself the grace, right? We don't often do that. Give ourselves the grace. And I don't know why that is, Scott. That's so true what you said. It feels so good to give. it should feel just as good to receive, but we're just not programmed to be good receivers. But I'm getting better at it. I really am. I now don't go into a big dissertation. If somebody gives me a compliment, I just smile and I think of Alexis and I say, thank you.
Yes, because guess what? That you just allowed that person to fill up and feel so
Yeah.
good and receive that bliss and happiness as you and Marla and I do when we give or when anyone else gives. And
our children are our biggest teachers sometimes.
Yeah,
Right?
they are. They are.
oh,
Yeah.
well, wow. Well, one, thank you for this beautiful conversation. And you already know how much we love you and your husband and your family. And
Thank you.
as our sign off, we always say blessings and intentions of gratitude, light, and love to you, your family. And we love you, love you, love you. We honor you, we honor you, we honor you.
Thank you. I feel the same way. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really was terrific. You guys are awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. I know you will.
And we are, and we're doing it collectively, right? We're doing it
That's right.
together. And
That's right.
thank you. Mwah. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.